discussion for today is about Jose Rizal's life experience in Ateneo and UST. We will travel back in time to the year of 1872 to look at one of the most important stages in the life of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. We often talk about Rizal, no, as a writer, a reformist, and a hero. But before all that, he was just like you, a student who was nervous and uncertain, yet full of dreams. At first, his father, Don Francisco Mercado, wanted him to study at Colegio de San Juan de Letran, but later he changed his mind and sent him instead to Ateneo Municipal de Manila, which is the present day Ateneo. This school is run by the Jesuits, and the Jesuits are known for their discipline and excellent in teaching. However, there was a problem. The Spanish authorities became suspicious of their family because Pasiano was linked with Father Burgos, and because of this connection, the name Mercado was on the government's watch list. So, to avoid trouble, the family decided to use Rizal, no, as a last name for Jose. Another problem was Ateneo was a school for the Spanish elites, and only those Spanish blood or with connections were easily accepted. Meanwhile, Rizal, being a Filipino and shy by nature, was nearly rejected. It was only through the help of Manuel Burgos, the nephew of Father Burgos, that Rizal was finally admitted. Now, imagine that, no? What if Rizal didn't make it into Ateneo? A small moment could change history and his entire character. But let's talk about what life was like for him in Ateneo. Because Ateneo wasn't just any school, it was strict, competitive, and very organized. In fact, the students were divided into two groups. The first group is the Roman Empire. This is the group of the top students, and then we have also the Carthaginian Empire. This is the group of students who needed improvement. The rules were so simple. If you did well in class, you could rise from emperor to tribune to centurion. But if you did poorly, your rank would fall. Now, at first, Rizal was placed among the Carthaginians, or the lower group, but soon, through hard work and discipline, he rose to the top. He worked hard, studied late at night, and within a short period of time, he was able to be one of the top of the class. In just few years, Rizal's name became known across the school. He became popular. He became one of the best students, earning excellent grades in all subjects, especially in Latin and Spanish. By the end of the first year, Rizal was already number one on his class. He received medals, awards, and recognition for his excellence. But what's more important than medals were what Ateneo gave him: a strong of sense of discipline, a love for learning, and faith in his ability to make difference. Almost all of Rizal's grades in Ateneo were excellent. But why did Rizal perform so well? First, Rizal wanted to end the unfair treatment. In Ateneo, many Spaniards still look down on native students. That includes Rizal. But Rizal wanted to prove them wrong. He believed that by studying hard and doing his best, he could show that Filipinos were just as good and capable as anyone else. Second, he wanted to show that Filipinos could be as smart or even smarter than Spaniards. Every excellent grade he earned was not just for himself, but for his people. Now, it is very important, or it's crucial, to take note that Rizal's education in Ateneo played a big role in awakening Rizal's nationalism. Through the stories of heroes, saints, and martyrs taught by the Jesuits, he learned about sacrifice, courage, and justice. Because of this, he started to ask questions. Why are Filipinos treated unfairly? And why is there inequality in the society? Now, these thoughts stayed in his heart and grew stronger as he became older. Without realizing, Ateneo was planting the seeds of nationalism in his mind, in his heart, that one day would grow into the revolution of ideas. In 1877, at only 16 years old, Rizal graduated from Ateneo with the highest honors in Bachelor of Arts, and sooner would enroll in UST, or University of Santo Tomas, one of the oldest and most prestigious universities in the Philippines, no, at that time. But did you know, after completing his education in Ateneo, Doña Teodora wanted Rizal to return into Calamba to manage their business. One major reason for her opposition was because she was afraid that if Rizal learns too much, the Spaniards will cut off his head. Basically, Doña Teodora was just afraid, no, for Rizal's safety, as she knew what will happen to some of the Ilustrados who were intellectuals. But Don Francisco and Pasiano would oppose this and will encourage Rizal to enroll in college. That's why, in April 1877, Jose enrolled in UST, taking philosophy of letters. But why philosophy of letters? One, Don Mercado suggested to take the course because he liked it for Jose, no? Considering he was good in literature. Second, Jose was yet uncertain, meaning to say, wala pa siya kabalo kung sa kwaon niya na kurso. He considered to take medicine or law, but Pasiano discouraged him because of the political situation of the country. But remember, in our previous discussion, this is the time when the politics in the Philippines or in the colony is unstable because of liberalism in the motherland. Well, Rizal originally wanted to study law. He was inspired by his brother Pasiano, but before Rizal could study law, he realized that he had to take a preparatory course, and that's why he chose philosophy of letters. The following school year, Rizal made a big decision. So mo to, na-enroll na siya sa philosophy of letters. But on the following school year, Rizal made a big decision. He shifted from philosophy of letters to medicine. So nga ano siyang shift? First, his mother, Doña Teodora Alonso, began to lose her eyesight. Rizal loved his mother dearly, and he wanted to find a way to cure her. That's why he decided to study medicine, specifically ophthalmology, which focuses on the eyes. Second, Rizal's interest in the sciences was growing stronger. He wasn't only a writer, he was also curious about human body or human anatomy and nature. So medicine allowed him to use both his intelligence and compassion to help others. Now, because of this, in the next years, Rizal will focus his studies or will focus himself to become a doctor. But even though Rizal was very intelligent, his years in UST were not as happy, no, and successful as his time in Ateneo. In fact, he didn't enjoy studying there. Why? There were several reasons. One, the atmosphere at UST was very different. At Ateneo, he was guided and supported by the Jesuits, teachers who encouraged learning and fairness. But at UST, the Dominicans professor were stricter. Medyo strict sila, dili sila approachable, and the Dominican professors were actually conservative. They often favored, according to Rizal, they often favored Spaniards over Filipinos, treating native students as inferior. Second, Rizal also experienced discrimination. He noticed how Filipino students were looked down upon and given lower grades even they perform well. Meaning to say, there is favoritism. Okay? Another reason would be Rizal did not perform as well as before. His grades were lower compared to Ateneo, probably because He was distracted. During at the time, Rizal was also going through personal struggles. So, unsa man yung mga personal struggles? Now, according to a writer, Leon Guerrero, Rizal's interests leaned more toward to arts and humanities than science. He studied medicine mainly out of love and duty to his mother, and Doña Teodora, who was losing her eyesight. Another reason, possible reason, is that Rizal also faced many distractions, no, like activism and romance. Guerrero also noted that this was the time Rizal began to experience, no, the pleasant confusion of his first love. His first romance was Segunda Katigbak, and his feelings for Segunda occupied his thoughts, and at the same time, he was becoming more involved in discussions about social issues. And like many students, love became both an inspiration and a distraction. But sadly, Rizal's love story was not meant to have a happy ending. Seconda was already engaged to a man named Manuel Luz, and when Rizal found out, he was heartbroken. He knew that no matter how much he loved her, he couldn't fight against the decision that had already been made by her family. Now, going back on Rizal's bad experience in UST, the Dominican Fire actually defended themselves. They claimed that Rizal exaggerated his experience and that the discrimination was not an official policy or kumbaga wala nahitabo. They insisted that all students were treated according to their academic performance, not their race. Rizal's low grades were not due to discrimination, but because he was distracted by other interests, such as romance, writing, and activism. Some Dominican historians even said that Rizal's disappointment came from personal pride, kumbaga egoism ba, since he was used to be number one in Ateneo, but in UST, dili na siya number one. Now, it is important to take note about the different discontentment of Rizal because this will be the foundation or the basis of Rizal deciding to continue its studies abroad abroad without his parents' approval. Now, by the end of his year in UST, Rizal had learned more than just medicine. He learned about social inequality, racial discrimination, and the struggles of being a Filipino under Spanish rule. Now, these experiences opened his eyes. He realized that the problem was not only personal but national. It was about freedom, justice, and the dignity of Filipinos. Eventually, with the encouragement of his brother Pasiano, Rizal will decide to continue his medical studies in Europe. That choice will change his life forever and eventually the fate of our nation.